Alright, so diving right into building out our first website, I've just opened up Photoshop for the first time, but I've not created a new file yet. Now with this course, there is going to be some expectation that you have a basic understanding of Photoshop. We just can't go through all that stuff in this course. So having a basic understanding of it is great. If you don't, go ahead and check out some of our other courses online. Get a little bit up to speed, then you can start out with these. But for now, I'm going to proceed with the understanding that you do have a basic knowledge of Photoshop and how it works. So I'm going to kind of jump through a couple areas a little bit faster than others. But this is the opening screen when you first start up Photoshop. And what I want to do is create new. Now here I'm going to be creating a new document, and if you are just used to using Photoshop the way it usually starts out with the recent tab pulled up here. And what this does is shows you all of the recent design sizes that you have used. Here's a bunch of ones that I've created recently. These were all custom sizes. And again, just if you're not super familiar with it, you can adjust your width over here. This is all set up to be done in pixels, which is how websites are typically done. You can switch it over to inches if you're going to be using something for print design, or some of these other ones if you're, again, designing for something else. But in our case, we're going to be using pixels. Not to be confused with points or picas or anything else that starts with a P, but pixels is what we're looking for. Now to save us even more time, what Photoshop has is some pre-made design typical sizes, I guess, for different websites, which is great. So I've clicked on the web tab up here. Again, if you want to go into print or photo or different things like that, they do have some predefined sizes, but again, we're going to be focusing mostly on web in this course, and they have some common web sizes over here. They have large websites and medium. I'm going to go ahead and start just with a medium right now, just for demonstration purposes. And I'm going to click on that, and I can click Create. Actually, just one thing to note here real quick. When I do click on that, you'll see that the size is given right up here in pixels, and it also gets reflected over here as you choose the different options. But again, I'm going to go with the medium website right now, and I'm going to say Create. Alright, so the first thing that you're going to see here, if you're used to using Photoshop but you're not used to using artboards, this is what your page is going to look like. Now, up until a few versions ago, I believe it was around 2015, the Adobe 2015 version of the Creative Cloud, that they came out with the ability to do artboards in Photoshop. Previous to that, it had always been something that Adobe Illustrator did really well, but Photoshop lacked in. There really wasn't a need for it because you could use layers. But now that we're starting to do different website layouts and mobile device layouts and flowcharts and things like that, you want to have that ability to do it in Photoshop, so they came out with the update. So here you'll see that just looks like a regular design up here, but there are a couple little differences that you may start to notice. There's a little tag up here that tells you what artboard you're on. There is also over in the Layers palette, there's basically like a folder here that tells you the name of the artboard that you're in. Now we'll be putting all the elements to designer site within this area in here, and we'll create the other ones, as you'll see here in a minute, for mobile devices and tablets. That will be separate folders so we can keep track of things easier. Now one other thing that it has that it's not available in regular Photoshop layouts is the ability to create an artboard with the artboard tool over here. So let's take a look. I'm going to zoom out here for just a second. I'm going to hit the Command minus or Control minus if you're on PC, just so you can see that there's a lot of black space around my design right here, just my artboard. Now if I want to create a new artboard, what I can do is click on the artboard tool over here and I can start to draw, or I can just simply click and drag to the duplicate layer option down here in my layers tab, and you'll see that it came up with a second artboard here, and it created a second artboard on my desktop. Now, this may be helpful if I'm creating just a regular desktop design and I wanted to create a home page here and maybe the about page here, and let's say I had more and more pages that went on, like login pages and different things I want to be able to show the client to get approval on before I go too far. That may be one way of doing it. So that would be great. So I'm going to keep a consistent size and create different pages all right here. But another thing that you may want to do is just have just a desktop design here, and then maybe move over to a tablet size over here, and then finally a mobile size over here. So let's go ahead and set up our artboards that way. First I want to change the title of the artboard. I'm going to just double click on this kind of layer area, this artboard name right here, and I'm just going to call it desktop. And you'll see as soon as I change it in the layer area over here, It also changes it here at the top of the artboard, so I can kind of keep track of things a little bit easier. So I'm just kind of holding the space bar, and I'll get the hand tool so I can kind of click around a little bit here. Now for this other one, I'm going to change this one. I'm going to call it tablet. And again, once I change the name in the layer area, you'll see a change over here at the top. But I want to change that to more of a tablet size, so I'll come over to my toolbar, and I'm going to change it to the artboard, and I can click on the tablet artboard. Whoops, looks like it went away there. Artboard, and you'll see a couple options came up here. So let's talk through those options here real quick. With that picked, I can see that the width of the width and the height of this artboard is given up here. Now I could change that. Let's say I have an older tablet, so let's say it's a 768 pixel width, and I'll just keep the height for consistency's sake right here. And the artboard changes right here next to the desktop. So you can see there is a definite size difference here. Now the one other thing that you can see that's going on here is that I've got these pluses going all around the artboard. Now only when I have the artboard tool selected and that specific artboard selected over here in the layers will I get these. If I go over to desktop, you'll see that I get the pluses going over here to the left, top, and bottom. Now what that lets me do is create more artboards above, below, and to the side of this. Now this will be helpful for saying, like, maybe if I had a drop down from here, if I clicked on this to go to a login page, maybe then I'd want to do a plus and say that this is where I would go after I've clicked on a certain button or something like that. So it kind of gives you a sitemap built right here into Photoshop for people to be able to create their flow map or sitemap. Now I want to do just one other thing to finalize this class right here. I'm going to duplicate this layer one more time, and I'm going to call this one mobile. So this will be the mobile version of my design. Still don't have that spelled right. Alright, so now I've got the mobile version up here, and I'm going to click on that layer and make sure I have my artboard tool selected, and from here you can see it defaulted to inches up here, but all you have to do is just delete the IN part up here, the inches, and I can type in 480 px, which again is defaulting over to images. And my artboard, you can see, has changed to a 480 pixel wide by the same height as all the other devices. And this is going to give me a good starting point to be able to start my design so I can show the client what it's going to look like in each of these devices before I go too far.